We return now to the issue of homelessness. This week on Checkpoint, we've spoken to people living in their cars, people whose WINS-approved emergency housing is costing them up to $1,300 a week, money they have to borrow from WINS and then repay, and people crowded into small homes and garages. Today I went to the Salvation Army in Waitakere, West Auckland, to talk to people who's, help those in need. Rhondda Middleton has been the Operations Manager for the Salvation Army in Henderson there, Waitakere, for 15 years. Earlier in the program tonight, Rhondda showed us the lockers they put up outside the building so people sleeping rough have somewhere to store their few possessions. Now Rhondda takes us inside the Henderson premises to tell us about who they're seeing and what they're trying to achieve for them.
Our main focus is, and I say to my team all the time, how do we stay to the point where we're not another place that is saying no? How do we actually say, we might not have the answer today, but here's some options. But quite often my team's amazing. A lot of them are volunteers, and they just look at the need, and we find a solution. And it can take a while, but...
How great is the need now?
So the need is definitely higher. That I think that the need is also at a different level. We used to work at quite a low and medium need. We're now working at quite a high need. So people will come in with multiple things that are happening in their lives. They may be having massive budget issues. Housing is a problem. Parenting is an issue. There may be family violence is something that usually comes out after a wee while once they trust us. But you're working with people who don't just come in with one need but with multiple needs, and how do we love and support them. But also the other thing we love to do here is give them a place to contribute, and so a lot of the people who have come in also become part of the team, and for me that's a massive win.
There's a terrible word that I hate, which is called underclass, but can I use it as a shorthand?
Yeah.
So we talk about the underclass as people who might use a facility like this, but I sense there's a change in that you're seeing an increasing number of working poor. Is that the case?
Yeah, so I've been here a long time, about 15 years, and when I first started it was probably around 5 to 10% of the people we were seeing, and it was very surprising if they came in but they were working. But now we're looking at about 30% of our clients are coming in on their lunch breaks for food, getting time off to have appointments for budgeting, and that's not always easy either because their employers don't always understand, but we are working a lot more with people who are working.
Roughly a third of your clients now have jobs.
That's right. So it's difficult because usually in the past, if they're on a benefit, we'd be able to help them get into training or looking for jobs, but they're already in a job. How do we get them to a point where their income is more? Because the issue that we have is that income is not enough.
And is it housing that is the biggest expense for these people?
So housing, if I'm just going off what I know, so not perfect stats, but people are paying well over 70% of their income, sometimes a lot more, just to pay for the rent. So what do they do? How do they pay for their car, petrol, food, electricity, which is just about to go up again? How do we keep paying for that, as well as keep on saying to them it's going to be all right, because they're living week to week. Also, the other thing we see a lot with the working people is if they're solo mums and they need time off for sick kids, they lose their jobs very quickly. So you feel like you've got them to a point, but then they can go backwards so quickly because they're by themselves trying to make things work, but they're still trying to be mums, dads, and life is not always easy.
And yet they're doing what we ask of them, right? I mean, if people are being crass, they will say, get a job and everything will be okay. They've got a job and everything isn't okay.
Yeah. So their income is so low, so often they're not working on a high wage, they're working on the minimum wage, and they then also lose some of their benefits from WINS. And so sometimes their dignities, I do see when they start work that they go, oh, yay, I feel like I've come to a step, but it doesn't usually change their lifestyle. It's still hard. It is still week to week all the time, and all it takes is one bill, a tyre going on a car, a kid's school camp, new school uniforms, because we seem to be changing school uniforms all the time at the moment. Our people at the beginning of this year really struggled. And we're thinking there were some people who had 3 kids at one school who needed a blazer. I don't know how to fix that, except that we tried to help. We came up with fundraising. We helped them get their blazers, because we don't want people to feel like they are the underclass. We want them to fit in. Everyone just wants to fit in. And so making sure they've got lunches, making sure they've got the right school uniforms, how do we do that? How do we work with them?
Empowering you with choice, the traditional model of food banks, at least as I understand them, is that someone gives you a box or a bag and that's that.
Yeah.
Whereas how's this one working now?
So this is a new model we're trying out. We've realised that people know what they need, and they know what their family eats. We knew a lot of people were taking food if we were giving them a box with specific things in, but it would sit in their pantry or they wouldn't know what to do with it. So now we let them come in, depending on how many adults and children in their home, they get so many items they can choose. It's been so exciting. So it's only 2 weeks old, this model, but they come in and to see them planning their meals and saying, if I get that, then I get some of this, and oh my goodness, that's my favourite thing. But even just things like hair products, beauty products, things like that, they know what they want to use, and all of us need a bit of feeling good about ourselves, and so it's so cool to see. The other really encouraging thing for us is that we did think maybe with this model they'll be using a lot of soft drinks and things like that, which we do have here, but people are really making wise, sensible decisions because they're feeding their families, and these people do know how to feed their families. I think sometimes we think, I hear a lot of people saying, well, they'll just waste it, but actually these people take it so seriously. They know what their family needs, and have a lot less junk than I do.
How long have you been doing this for? You've been here for 15 years, have you?
Yes, so I've worked for the Salvation Army for 15 years and have been based at West Auckland for that whole time.
And how has it changed over that period? We talked before about the working poor, so suddenly you have way more people with jobs coming in. What else has changed? So
definitely the money lending, the high interest loan sharks that are out there, our people that have multiple loans that they owe. So how do they ever get out of that? So when we start doing budgets with them, sitting with them, it is just sometimes they feel hopeless because the interest rates sometimes are hitting 500% for something they've bought. How do they work through that when also they're coming into us because their car's broken down, so they need to be able to fix that again. So probably that loan area is a massive area, and it's the marginalised, the people, our clients who have been targeted, and also the other thing that I'm seeing is it is the working poor, but also the rents are just shocking. People have to find a house. WINs are helpful because they do give out, they are helpful to our people with bonds and things like that, but then they have to live in that day, week to week. They have to live with the high rents that they're paying, and really they have no choice. And it's a vicious cycle of how do I pay for things, and it seems to be that their debt just increases all the time. So
are people desperate?
Oh, very desperate. Just in this new food bank model, they come in here, and the point that we've tried to give them dignity and empowerment, they're overwhelmed because they're desperate to feed their families. I don't think any parent gets up in the morning and thinks of anything but how do I look after my children well, and 99% of the parents that come in here, they want to be good parents, they want to provide for their families, and it's just a desperation because of the cycle that has happened in their lives.